press the accelerator, it'll slap. The Ford Mustang. It's one of those all-American products like a McDonald's hamburger or a bar of Ivory soap or a Harley-Davidson motorcycle or a pair of Levi's. Everybody's got a Mustang story because at one time or another, pretty much everybody has loved the Mustang. In April, the Mustang celebrated 60 years on the market. The 2024 model, to me, it's all about progress and history. Now, the history part of it is simply this. Back in 1962, Ford showed the Mustang 1 concept car. That was like a real sports car that would have taken on Porsches and MGs and Triumphs and all the other little sports cars from Europe. That car, of course, never came to the market, but it was a sports car and it showed the way that Ford was thinking. Now, here we are 62 years later in 2024, and I put forth the modest proposal that this model, the 2.3-liter EcoBoost Mustang, is the first time that the Mustang has been a real sports car. That is, it's light on its feet, it handles well, it's fast, it's fun to drive, it's got a high revving engine, it does all the things a real sports car should do. Why is that? Because for the last few years, Ford has been selling the Mustang in some of the toughest markets in the world, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, where it's got to compete against some really, really sophisticated iron. And the 2024 model has got everything it takes to compete against the world's best sports cars. So I want to hit a few of the high points on the progress that Ford has made with the Mustang. The basic shape of the Mustang has been the same for around 20 years. In 2005, the generations changed over from the Fox body to basically what we see here today, the same size and shape. Sure, there's been some styling changes over the years, but the real money that Ford has spent on developing the Mustang has all been underneath. Now there's an independent rear suspension. The infotainment system and all the electronics are different. And under the hood, what they've done is really pretty remarkable. The 2005 Mustang, the most powerful engine you could get, was a 4.6-liter V8 that made 300 horsepower. Today's engine on the base model is a 2.3-liter, half the size of the V8, that makes 315 horsepower. That old V8 Mustang got 17 miles per gallon in the city, if you were lucky, and 25 on the highway. The 2024 EcoBoost Mustang gets 22 miles per gallon in the city and 33 on the highway. And those are real accurate miles because I drove the car for a week, and if you drive with a light foot, you'll get that mileage and better. So that's real progress there. The car weighs about the same, but it feels really light on its feet. Is the Mustang perfect? No. On rough roads, you can really hear the road sizzle from the tires going over the pavement. On smooth pavement, it's nice and quiet, but it's noisy inside, and truthfully, the exhaust is a little bit loud, but hey, it's a sports car, and that's what sports cars do. So one thing about living with a sports car is, you know, getting in and out of it's a little low to the ground. Is it comfortable to drive every day? And I think the Mustang, yeah, you could drive it every day. The seats are really nice and firm and supportive. With Camaro dead and Challenger on hiatus for a while, Ford could have, you know, pretty much skimped on spending any money to improve the Mustang and still won the sales race, right? Because there's really no competitors anymore. The Nissan is selling the Z by the dozens, and the other cars like the Skyline are going away, and what's the competition? Not much. But Ford is to be commended for continually investing in the Mustang and making it better and better and better. And this one is a lot of fun to drive. If you press the accelerator, it'll slap. That's not bad for a 4-cylinder. That was like 70 miles an hour really quickly. The turning radius is great. The brakes are strong. The Mustang feels very much like it has the chops to compete with the best sports cars on the market today in this price range. It really does. It's never been super sophisticated in the past, but it is now. That's probably because Ford's been selling the Mustang overseas, and in Europe and Japan, there's no room in the market for cars that are maybe pretty looking but lacking substance underneath. And the Mustang, to compete with those cars, getting by on looks alone, not going to get it. So Ford has really made this an international car now. It's got a lot of things in it that you just wouldn't expect a Mustang to have. You know, I go back a long way with Mustangs. I shouldn't probably tell you this, but last century, the first car I ever loved was a Mustang, and the first car I ever restored was a Mustang, a 67. And I had a 66, and when the '05 models came out, I bought one of those. You know, it's the all-American car. Everybody's had a Mustang or has a Mustang story, and I think in its 60th year, the Mustang is probably the best it's ever been. It, to me, has the wider appeal than it's ever had. You know, the four-cylinder engine in past Mustangs has been basically an economy car special, nothing to write home about. But now it's like, this is all you need. Yeah, you can get a V8 and you can still buy a Shelby and some of the other high-performance models, but for just an everyday sports car, this is really all you need. And at about $31,000 to start, it still represents a pretty good value. It, you know, really does. Let's go to track mode. So I've just changed the instruments and the exhaust to make it kind of more of a roary sports car. And look at the gauges now. Like, if you're into electronics and computer games and high-tech sports cars, this is it. It's right here. Or if you're a retro geezer like me and you want to have the Fox body layout, you can do that too. So we're going to merge onto the highway, and I'll give you a little taste of what the 2.3 liter can do. Nothing wrong with that. Car's glued to the road. It's got a very natural, neutral kind of feeling to it. Despite the fact that it weighs about 3,600 pounds, it's still pretty light on its feet. And previous Mustangs have been, you know, kind of heavy and ponderous, but not this one. There's another thing I noticed about this Mustang too, and that is the way the car is built is a standard that we've not seen in the Mustang before. The paint is absolutely flawless. It's like the metal is colored that, you know, colored yellow. It's like there's no orange peel in the paint. It's just really smooth and nice. Ford has spent a lot of money getting its manufacturing right. And so I noticed that this car is really put together well. No rattles, no squeaks. All the gaps are nice and uniform. It's just really built well. In its 60th year, I put forth the modest proposal that the Mustang is in the best shape it's ever been in. It's truly now an international car. Whatever your perversion is technology-wise, you're going to find it here, because the Mustang, you can configure the suspension, the exhaust sound, even the look of the dash. It's just really come into its own. It's not an inexpensive car anymore. They start at about $31,000, but the Mustang has always been about value. And if you compare this car to some of its competitors, the Supra or maybe some BMW sports cars, it is a lot less expensive, and you're not giving up very much in the way of performance and technology. So in that regard, the Mustang remains what it's always been: a superb car to drive, a tremendous value, and just a lot of fun.